Tisztelt Hölgyeim és Uraim! Dear ladies and gentlemen! Tisztelettel köszöntöm dr. Musalia Mudavadi urat, a Kenyai Köztársaság kül- és diaszpóra ügyekért felelős miniszterét, Szijjártó Péter külgazdasági és külügyminiszter urat, a kenyai és a magyar delegáció tagjait, valamint minden kedves vendégünket aláírási ceremóniánkon és sajtótájékoztatónkon. It is my pleasure to welcome His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Mr. Péter Szijjártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, members of the Kenyan and Hungarian delegations, and all of our guests to our signing ceremony and press conference. Tisztelettel felkérem a minisztereket, hogy írják alá a Magyarország Kulturális és Innovációs Minisztériuma és a Kenyai Köztársaság Oktatási Minisztériuma közötti az oktatási együttműködésről szóló 2025 és 2027-es évekre vonatkozó szándéknyilatkozatot. I will ask the ministers to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Culture and Innovation of Hungary and the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Kenya on educational cooperation for the years 2025 to 2027. Thank you. Tisztelettel felkérem a minisztereket, hogy írják alá a Magyarország kormányának Agrárminisztériuma és a Kenyai Köztársaság kormányának Mezőgazdasági és Állattenyésztés Fejlesztési Minisztériuma közötti a mezőgazdaság területén történő együttműködésről szóló szándéknyilatkozatot. Thank you. I will ask the ministers to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Agriculture and Government of Hungary and the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development of the Government of the Republic of Kenya on cooperation in the field of agriculture. Thank you. And now I invite the ministers to take their places at the lecterns. Elsőként tisztelettel felkérem Szijjártó Péter miniszter urat beszédének megtartására.
Jó napot kívánok, tisztelettel köszöntöm Önöket. Nagy tisztelettel köszöntjük itt Budapesten Kenya külügyminiszterét. Legutóbb 5 éve volt alkalmunk arra, hogy Kenyából külügyminisztert fogadhassunk, és most éppen itt volt az ideje az újabb látogatásnak, hiszen a veszélyek korában élünk, amikor is háborúk, terrorfenyegetettség, migráció, folyamatosan szembesült a következményekkel, és szenvedett is a következményektől az elmúlt 3 év során. Ezért Európa és Afrika egyszerre érdekeltek abban, hogy végre ismételten béke legyen Ukrajnában. Eleget szenvedtünk egy olyan...
We have suffered enough from the war that we have nothing to do with. We are all fed up with those who are pro-war, those European politicians that are trying to limit and to put obstacles to the efforts of peace, and they also try to undermine the peace talks. People in Europe and also in Africa, they are all interested in peace. We are interested in supporting the peace efforts of President Trump. Hopefully in the upcoming days in Saudi Arabia, the negotiations are going to result with good success and we can get back to reasonable thinking in the arena of politics in Europe and in the world. There is also another threat related to security both in Europe and in Africa, and this is the threat of terror. Last year, the radical organizations committed horrible crimes in Africa, resulting in almost 20,000 fatalities. We need to increase efforts combating terrorism. Also, we know that terrorism is also one of the triggering factors of migration. The population in Africa by 2050 is going to increase by 20 million, which means that the 27% of the population of the world is going to live in Africa. If we cannot restrict terrorism, then I'm sure that we are going to face a huge wave of migration in the upcoming years. And based on the current situation, I'm sure that Europe will not be able to handle these difficulties well. We are sticking to the position of stopping terrorism, stopping migration, which means that together we need to achieve an economic and social and health and education prosperity in Africa that will provide the opportunity for people in Africa to stay in the countries, to add to the success and prosperity of the countries with their talent and with their work. Hungary is supporting Kenya in this regard. We have carried out programs in an amount of 650 million forints in the field of education, agriculture, to develop and provide opportunity to develop social, educational, agricultural programs. Also, we have focused on those territories stricken by poverty to build sanitary and hygiene services. I would also like to add that agriculture is one of the main fields of our cooperation. That's why we signed a memorandum of agreement just recently. Hungarian companies are planning projects of development in Kenya. In the field of irrigation, we're going to build an irrigational system and also a fisheries center, which is going to be set up by Hungarian companies to add to the development of the Kenyan agriculture. And now, in terms of feed, and export of chicks has also been initiated. The question of education, we have also signed an agreement related to education. 521 students from Kenya are studying at technical and medical fields. We provide 200 places of scholarship for students from Kenya. 4,300 students applied for this opportunity this year, and hopefully we will keep up these numbers in the upcoming years. I would like to thank you, Mr. Minister, for visiting us. Thank you for being on the side of peace. Thank you for playing an important stabilizing role in Kenya in this finding solutions to African conflicts and challenges. Through your work, I'm sure that we managed to increase peace and stability here in Europe as well. Thank you.
Kezükben tisztelettel felkérem dr. Musalia Mudavadi.
Thank you, and I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Mudavadi to deliver his speech.
Your Excellency, Peter Soyato, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, ambassadors, distinguished officials, members of the press, good morning. Allow me to take this opportunity to appreciate Your Excellency, Peter Soyato, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, for inviting me to undertake this official visit. This is a reciprocal visit, given that Minister Soyato visited Kenya early last year, where we had an opportunity to discuss issues of mutual interest between our two countries. This being my first visit to Hungary as a foreign minister, it has been an honor and privilege to be here, and I have enjoyed the warm hospitality of the people of Hungary. We have just concluded a very fruitful engagement with my colleague, where we exchanged views on how we can strengthen and consolidate the good relations between our two countries. Our countries have shared a long-standing relationship that dates back to when our country gained independence in 1963. Hungary was the 6th country to establish a mission in Nairobi in 1964. I therefore thank my colleague and friend, Minister Peter Soyato, for his political goodwill to cement these relations between our two countries through the exchange of high-level visits. Hungary is a valued partner to Kenya. In our bilateral meeting today, we have held in-depth discussions on ways of enhancing trade and investment between Kenya and Hungary. We have shared ideas on new opportunities to improve the balance of trade between our two countries. We have resolved to promote greater linkages between our private sectors and business communities in between our business persons. In this regard, we have agreed to hold the next session of the Joint Trade and Economic Committee between our two countries, hopefully before the end of this year. We have further agreed to expedite the conclusion of negotiations on the agreement on promotion and reciprocal protection of investment between our two countries, and also complete negotiations on the agreement on avoidance of double taxation. We have also just signed 2 memoranda of understanding, one in the field of education and the other in the field of agriculture. These are very important to both of us. Hungary is an important partner to Kenya in the education sector, and I take this opportunity, Your Excellency, to appreciate the government of Hungary's support for the 200 scholarships offered to Kenyan students annually by and through the Stipendium Hungaricum program. We really appreciate, and last night I had an opportunity to meet some of the students who are studying here. On agriculture, Mr. Minister, we will continue to work very, very closely together, and we have just also had a conversation on the 2 projects that you are undertaking in the field of agriculture that will have a serious and impactful impact on the rural people of Kenya. Kenya remains committed to enhancing the diplomatic relations with Hungary, and it is for this reason that Kenya is committed to establish a resident diplomatic mission in Budapest in the near future. And I have explained myself on this issue. We shall accelerate that process. Your Excellency, I have resolved to revitalize our relations in the energy sector in our efforts of stepping up to strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity by prioritizing green growth while ensuring energy supply and sustainability. We have therefore resolved to implement the MOU on cooperation in the field of training and education of atomic industry on the peaceful uses of nuclear energy that we signed during a visit to Nairobi early last year. We have agreed to exchange capacity on the use of nuclear energy as an alternative source of clean, renewable energy. You are very strong in this field, and we can learn a lot from what you have achieved. We have also agreed to work together in the field of ICT, the ICT sector, and we shall available on the information technology business, finance, cloud mapping sectors in our countries. And we have agreed to collaborate on the tech front to enhance our abilities to attract foreign direct investments in our respective countries. On the multilateral front, Mr. Minister, I just wish to reiterate that we are strong in promoting multilateralism. Kenya hosts the United Nations UNEP body and the United Nations Habitat, and we want to build on this to work together in advocating for a better global financial architecture that is more inclusive. We will continue to work together in the peace efforts globally, and I'm happy to say that things now begin to look promising in terms of peace coming to Ukraine and Europe. So we would like to encourage all parties to really engage positively and constructively so that the challenge that we have had for the last 3 years can be behind us in Europe. Mr. Minister, as I conclude, I take this opportunity to thank you once again for the fruitful engagement and measurable outcomes that we have agreed to today. And may the relations between Kenya and Hungary continue to grow to greater heights. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Köszönjük szépen, a sajtó munkatársainak most lehetősége nyílik.
Thank you. And now the representatives of the press have the opportunity to raise their questions. We are going to collect some of the questions on behalf of the representatives of the press. Hello, my name is here. My question. Following, he said, just shut up, keep silent, little man. That's what Elon Musk said. So what do you think of this? Do you think it carries any threat and danger that allies are disputing and are in disagreement? Thank you. András Margó from Magyar Nemzet. I would like to ask a question from the Minister Budapest. How do you see the relationship between Hungary and Kenya, and how you evaluate our fight in the field of terrorism? And also, I would like to ask Mr. Szijjártó, what do you think about the accession of Ukraine to European Union? I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Ministers. Thank you for your questions. And now the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland is a pro-war politician, one of the fiercest ones, to tell you the truth. And the Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs is one of the most aggressive of those ministers who back up and support the continuation of the war. While we see that the American government is supporting peace. Therefore, there's no surprise that we see a disagreement between the two parties, one backing peace and the other opposing peace. Now, we all know the style of the Polish government and also the attitude of the Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs. They have reflected quite often their position on war in Ukraine. So sooner or later, such a dispute could have happened. I'm not surprised to hear that. I truly hope that the peace efforts are going to be successful this week, and hopefully the pro-war ministers and politicians in the European Union cannot undermine this process. As for the accession of Ukraine to the European Union, I can say that the European Union currently has reached its worst times in terms of competitiveness and economic strength. Therefore, for Ukraine, joining the European Union in this state would be quite dangerous and could result in great threat. I do believe that their integration would also mean that they would transport their conflicts and the war conflict into the European Union. Also, we've seen the opportunities that Ukraine has been given, and we see how they use these opportunities, which does not shed good light on their efforts.
we also see
that they ruin the farmers by bringing wheat to the European Union. So this is something we are not looking for. I truly hope that peace talks are going to be successful, and also the Hungarian people will have the opportunity to express their opinion on Ukraine joining European Union, and we're going to respect the opinion of Hungarian people.
I just want to state that, as I have indicated, we see and value our relationship between Kenya and Hungary as extremely critical. Hungary was the 6th nation to set up an embassy in Kenya immediately after independence. So this was a very strong signal from Hungary for a desire for a strong partnership, and we want to maintain it. Today, we have given examples of 2 specific areas, the education sector and the agriculture sector, where there's very strong collaboration. And equally, we look forward to now going beyond this, and very soon there'll be a mission coming to Nairobi, which will also involve members of the private sector from Hungary. And we would want to engage in various spheres so that it's not just governments relating, but also we want to see our business people, our industries also collaborating. So we are keen on that. On the issue, and of course I've said that Kenya has also passed its resolution at cabinet level to establish a mission here. And that is something that we will work on so that we can be successful in doing that. On the issue of terrorism, I just want to point out that terrorism remains a threat, not just to Kenya, but globally. In Kenya, we have suffered directly from terrorism, not just once, but on quite a number of occasions. And terrorism thrives in a state of lawlessness, when there's disorder, when there's conflict. That is when terrorism thrives. So in the Horn of Africa right now, there are some conflicts around DRC, conflicts around Sudan, conflicts that are also emerging in South Sudan, still some sections of
Somalia,
and so forth. So all these, and of course the challenge in the Middle East, all these contribute to the higher risks that terrorism could bring, not just there, but across the board. So by collaborating with friends and partners like Hungary, we can develop through collaboration ways of ensuring that we minimize terrorist threats across the country. But more important is to end conflict around the world. Just the way in Europe there's determination now to end the conflict in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, we also look forward to the same effort to assist in ending conflicts within the African continent, so that we can all be able to have a society that respects the rule of law and therefore minimizes the threat of terrorism. Thank you.
Köszönjük szépen! Ezzel mai eseményünk végéhez értünk. Vendégeinknek.
Thank you very much. Now our meeting has come to its end. I would like to thank you for your attention and for your participation. And goodbye.